Hello and welcome to Come to Think of It, the podcast diary program on Bizz 99.9 FM Substitute Radio. I'm Stuart McMc, today's diarist. Thank you for joining me. Today, I will be talking about the Australian video game review, news and commentary show Good Game, which ran on ABC TV from 2006 to 2016. Ever since the announcement came that Good Game was being cancelled and would not continue into 2017, there has been a massive outpouring from both fans of the show and people who worked from within the Good Game office. Everyone has seemingly taken this moment of opportunity to express their own personal feelings for the show, to make clear their disappointment at the decision to cancel it, to relive some of their favourite moments from the show's history, to pay homage to those who made the show possible and so wonderful, and to tell some interesting anecdotes about their own experiences over the years. That being the case, I will try to confine my remarks to what hasn't yet been said, or what hasn't yet been said to the scope and extent that it ought to be. And in general, I'll try to add my own contribution to the mass pageantry of both commiseration and commemoration to Good Game, which is presently going on. I was first introduced to Good Game by my younger brother back in 2006, the show's very first year of production. He said to me something to the effect of, "This seems like something you'd probably be interested in. Maybe you should check it out." Well, considering how things would eventually turn out, that was, to put it modestly, a very judicious recommendation. From that first episode of Good Game that I ever watched, I remember being instantly captivated and fascinated by its content, format, style, and tone. On the one hand, Good Game discussed, critiqued, and explained video games in a critical, holistic, investigative, and detailed manner. Video games weren't just these toys for mindless light entertainment or guilty pleasure, but could also be seen as an intellectual exercise, something that could be analysed and criticised and studied. They could be the subject matter for long and meaningful discussions. This was a real revelation for me at the time, because up until then I had never thought about video games in this light. On the other hand, the show was also charming and fun and colourful, with lots of funny, gentle and silly elements. It never became too serious, academic or sombre that the enjoyment and entertainment one gets out of playing video games was lost from perspective or consideration. The show was full of jokes, both those ones deliberately written into the script as part of the reviews, and those ones made off the cuff during filming that were included in the final cut. For week after week, Good Game was such a joy and pleasure to watch. Good Game's hosts always had something so authentic, genuine and wholesome about them. They sat there in front of the camera and performed in a jocular and bubbly, yet also calm and controlled persona. As you listened to them speak, you could tell that they were genuinely excited by the prospect to play video games and talk about them at great length on television. When it came to communicating with and listening to its audience, Good Game also had this kind of intimacy and friendly comfortableness about it, which you didn't and still don't get from most other TV shows. Barjo and Hex felt much more like your close dear friends with whom you would regularly talk to on Facebook, hang out with on the weekends, and play video games with whenever the opportunity arose. They never felt like these professional elite entertainers whose life experiences were incomparable to your own. In fact, there have been occasions where I've binge-watched an entire season of Good Game in a single night, and have become so deeply immersed in that world of Hex and Barjo playing games and talking about them and having fun all along the way, that I've actually needed to consciously snap out of it and remind myself that I've never actually met either of those two in my entire life. Furthermore, it seemed as if everyone who worked at the Good Game office, from the hosts and producers to the online moderators and editors, had this happy and optimistic and outgoing attitude to their work, and they were always genuinely welcoming to newcomers and suggestions and activities by the fandom, never hostile or defensive or negative. I remember one time sending the Good Game office an email asking them for some game suggestions regarding a particular genre that I was taking a keen interest in. And the day after, they sent me back a response that was far more detailed and helpful than I was expecting, and I remember at the time being just so appreciative that they went to that effort to reply back to me. In terms of the language of Good Game episodes, Hex and Barjo were always able to strike the balance between using open and uncomplicated words, so that anyone who viewed the show for the first time would be able to understand what they were talking about, and employing the lexicon of the medium and art form and industry of video games, in order to properly describe a situation or phenomenon, or to go into the specific and technical details. They avoided falling into the two traps of niche language use, one being to use overly simplistic words that were too vague and general, and which simply patronized the audience who already understood that stuff, and the other being the overuse of jargon and technical words such that nobody but video game experts or professionals would be able to understand what they were going on about. It's all about striking the balance between those two counterforces, and Good Game was always the experts at that art form. And that's all the time we have for today. Don't worry, I still have a lot more to say about Good Game, but that will have to wait until next time. This has been Come to Think of It on Bizz 99.9 FM Substitute Radio. I'm Stuart McMc. Thanks for listening to the program. Until next time, goodbye.